I don't stop. I don't sleep because I'm in the group. That's me. Hey. So, how's everyone doing, first and foremost? Today is the 30th of November. It is currently November 30th. That full moon Gemini lunar eclipse was this morning, at least here. I tried to see it last night. I went out at like almost 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to see if I could see, a little bit of the shadow on the moon. But it was cloudy, so I couldn't even see the moon. But that's fine. December starts tonight. In some parts of the world, it's already December. Last month of 2020, there's approximately, 31, I guess, days left. And there's 12 cards, 11, actually. I want to pull. There's no real, oh my goodness. There's no real, spread, but I have a general idea of what's going to happen. And then I have these here for clarification if I need them. I'm using the vice verses. I was going to use the Kawaii Tarot, but then it was like, oh, I could use the vice versa. Oh, there was a title card. One more. Let's see what's it. I have 3 more. What was that? The Knight of Wands flipped over to the back with the star behind it. And the back of the Two of Pentacles is going to be at the top of the deck, I guess, with the bottom of the deck being the Nine of Swords, the front of the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. Now, this Nine of Swords is interesting because it's not our typical scene. We have these swords of light, very ethereal, may not even be there, and they're thin. This feels like more like a revelation or a realization or a truth that's come to light. There we go. Or a truth that's come to light that it haunts us when we're awake. And with the Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, it may be related to a decision that we've made in the past. And we're kind of sort of beginning to see how well it is or isn't working out for us. Or we're going to be coming into that time of seeing how well it did or didn't work out. Then it may be time to reprioritize. A little bit, or a lot of it, actually. What do I want to? Oh, it's on my phone. Okay. I knew I had this for some reason. No, this is how we're gonna lay these out. Excuse me, obligatory yawn out of the way. I almost tasted like wine, like a blackberry merlot. Shout out to Bacchus Dionysus. Cornucopia is here with contract and cornucopia at the bottom of the deck, or at the cut. So let's get this first card. I'll give it 3, and if nothing comes out, I will pick one. Is that how we're doing this? No, we're gonna wait today. So we might be here for a while. Oh, woo! Hold up. Okay. The world card almost came out. Goodness, yeah, I'm not taking all that. Nope. Okay, for this one, this is what I'm going to do, because some of these I actually want one of these down here. So I'm going to give this 5 shuffles. Oh my gosh. Hey, that was the world card. That was the world card again. The world card is the one that almost came out of the energy oracle cards. That's interesting. 2 more. Nope. Last one. No, actually flip them. So we have the 4 of Pentacles and the 8 of Wands as these two. Which other ones do I want more for? And then this one. Sure. Page of Wands. The back of the Page of Wands with the back of the World card. Hey, look, there it is. Left at the top. The Knave. There are knaves in this deck. The back of the World card. So again, at first it was the back of the 2 of Pentacles. Now it's the back of the World card. I feel like there's a settling energy, but we'll see. Okay, now I'll put these on top and we'll see what's it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Sure. What card is this? Yin and Yang almost went in reverse, which means that we're moving from a Yin cycle to a Yang cycle. Okay. I'm not quite yet sure how I want to lay these out. Hey, there's Yin and Yang. That's neat. Oh. Anxiety. Okay. Next is. I should know. I just read it. My memory right now. This is seasons I'm not losing. Uh-oh, I don't think I'm seeing yin yang anymore. Which means it might be on the table. There we go. Oh, I'm running out of table room. We'll see. Okay. Timestamp is going to be in the description box for when this starts, as always. I'm trying to think of, make sure I know how I want to do this. Oh, goddess of the moon. Just use my intuition. Yeah, I'm not seeing yin yang anymore. I was about to say I'm not seeing the world either, but then I just did. I think I'm going to change this. This go here. No, this one go here. I don't think I'm seeing envy either. All tied up or attachment. Was that yin yang? Oh, that was all tied up. I think the man holding a heart. I'm not seeing. Let me stop speculating. Like, ooh, what am I not seeing? Okay. Oh, all right. And then last but not least, oh. So bottom of the deck is going to be Ariel, second chakra, Archangel, Sacral. And that's what's at the top, because I'm curious. Top of the deck is the Door to Romance, with Archangel Ariel at the bottom of the deck. This is about intimacy. It could be relationship intimacy, but if we take a sacral means, it's more general. It's more creative. It's about a give and take. Oh, wait, let me edit. I'll say 1420. Hey, 1425. 1425. There we go. So, hey, not too bad. Only 5 seconds late. Let's get into this. So we have the back of the world card with the back of the Page of Wands. Or I guess technically it would be the front of the Page of Wands regularly, since like facing me or facing upwards is like the card front. So we have the Page of Wands with the back of the world card. So we have this world looking at the Page of Wands. And she has this candle. She's actually got two candles floating. One blue flame, the other red flame. Reminds me of the magician in the mirror. And so the frame here, oh, look at that. Is that the Six of Wands? Yeah, the Six of Wands. The back of the Six of Wands is under this World card, which is victorious. It's victory, but I don't know. It's kind of foreboding. It's that, what was it? Pyrrhic victory? Okay, so on the front of the card, on the front of the world is a wreath, but on the back is the Ouroboros, and it's green. It's the snake that bites its own tail. And the snake, the head of the snake is hanging, but it's just going through the ring, so it's not like choking it. And then it's cosmic on the outside, so it's portal energy. And then over here, it's Ariel and second chakra Ariel, and what was it? The door to romance, yeah, which is about intimacy and creativity. This is about us sort of going into the world that we create for ourselves, or it's about the world that we create for ourselves. And it's interesting. We got the Four of Pentacles and the man holding the coin, sort of in the space of how we. What's the word I want to use? What we prescribe ourselves, how we remedy what ails us. And with the man holding the coin and the Four of Pentacles, it seems like in the past, at least, there's a heavy attachment on earthly, physical, 3D things, which makes sense. But with the fire at his feet, or I guess, is this light or is it fire? I don't know. I feel like this speaks to how, at any moment, if we use the physical as a metric for stability or safety or whatever, anything physical or tangible can be lost at a moment's notice, right? Like if he doesn't put that fire out right now, it's going to reach the point where it's too much to handle. And so maybe again, I guess that's kind of sort of the theme so far is whatever we kind of sort of put our faith or trust or banked on in the past, maybe at least in the space of this year, we're kind of sort of seeing how much it doesn't actually serve us. And so where we went with that is third chakra archangel Camuel. And the third chakra, the solar plexus, is about action and sustainable sustenance. It's about action and sustenance. And so, whereas sort of at the bottom of the decks, we have with that Page of Wands an element of creativity. And with the second chakra, we also have an element of creativity. It seems that like we've tried to brute force our way through some things that we could have had a little bit more of a creative sort of flair when it came to, or at least we could have went about thinking about it in a different way. But this is very much a like, take the bull by the horns type of mentality. If this is what our priority was, then this is us deciding to go after it. Now, what this led us to is blossoming abundance. Oops, well, it's in reverse now. with blossoming abundance, I feel like things worked out for the most part fairly well. It feels like we have somewhat of an understanding of how things work. We feel sort of confident and comfortable in whatever, even if it was something that wasn't as physical the way that I don't know why tangentially just popped into my mind, but the way that we tangibly, physically went about going after the things that we wanted and like what we sort of fed ourselves, how we sustained ourselves in the pursuit of that, there is this period of return. Now, that's coming into attachment, which is the dependence on the physical that didn't benefit us probably. So it may have been the case that, if we were going after this or if we put a lot of stock into something that isn't necessarily for our highest highest higher or greater good, or if we have too much of a dependency on it, then something happens that causes us to reevaluate. And even I feel like that reevaluation always happens, right? So even if you found something good or you've come across something that's pretty great, that moment something will happen that will make you or that will help you appreciate how good you actually have it, or something will happen that will get you to shift your perspective. Either way, we're sort of analyzing and evaluating where we are. And with attachment, it probably wasn't great, right? Or at the very least, it wasn't sustainable. And with the third chakra also being about sustenance, if something isn't sustainable, then it's like it inherently puts that chakra out of balance. Even if we were sort of seeing some positive return for what it is that we were putting out. Because again, it's like, let's take Sage, for example. People have been like, everybody is into Sage right now, saging this and that, and it's natural. So it's not necessarily manufactured. So you can't just, like build a plant and synthetically, artificially make a whole bunch of sage. Like the the quantity of sage that we have is limited, and the replacement of that is limited by how fast it grows and how long it takes to mature and the process to do whatever happens after that. And so I remember I saw something recently in some state, you have to have a license to basically harvest sage. And it's typically reserved to the natives of like certain natives or something like that. And they were talking about how like an entire field that used to be like wild sage is just gone because people illegally came in and were just taking it. And I saw that like local law enforcement, like that's something that they had never really enforced. But when they started enforcing it, they found like so much illegally gathered sage. And it's like this resource is not like infinite, and our consumption is not sustainable. And I feel like that's kind of sort of like this energy here. Like it was good with blossoming abundance. Maybe, I don't know, if you were a sage picker, you were making bank because everybody and their mama is into sage right now and some other things. But because that's the case, and and then the prices go up when the supply dips and the demand is there, it takes something, it commodifies what was supposed to be, or what was at least originally like just naturally there. And again, since we consume so many things so voraciously, it would be wild if like sage becomes endangered or something, because we pick it to the point like we don't allow for its numbers to naturally sort of like be or whatever, and it basically becomes over harvested to the point where it doesn't like grow naturally anymore or something like that. I don't know. But that's the thing with the solar plexus, right? An overactive solar plexus is still out of balance. And I feel like with attachment and this blossoming abundance, that was the case. And now it's leading to us to this anxiety sort of like in between sort of space and in this in between state, because of what happens when we figure out how much of a dependence we have on something, right? And this could be anything. I would say with the Four of Pentacles and the man holding a coin, it feels like it's related to something either financial or something that can affect our health or your health, something that can affect someone's health if done in excess. And again, like with that Four of Pentacles, it was like at any moment, this could just like it's already ignited, but it could just like spread, it could just like explode and engulf everything and it could be gone. And so whatever this was, it was not something to put as much, it wasn't something to get as attached to as maybe we potentially did. And that's this anxiety here. The anxiety here is, it's like it's making this attachment known. Like if you can't function without something, or if the lack of having something, what, like we all need food and water and things like that to survive. That's different. But like if you're an anxious, nervous mess without something, there's probably some dependence there, probably some attachment, and it's probably worthy of evaluating. And then here's this judgment card sitting right in the middle. It's the front of judgment. And in this deck, they're all naked and they're facing this angel with, it's Apollo energy. I know Apollo isn't an angel. Oh, it's Gabriel, right? Because I see the horn. Gabriel has the horn. Um, this is a male Gabriel. Sometimes Gabriel is depicted as like a female. Sometimes, because it'll be like Michael and Raphael are the males, and then Gabriel and Ariel will be the females sometimes. But he is also not wearing a whole bunch of clothes, but he's got this like little white shawl type thing on. And of course, they're all naked, man, women, and child, standing in this barren, arid land. And this judgment card is interesting because I don't see the caskets, which means that they're not necessarily yet dead, right? And the judgment sometimes can be, or it can refer to like Judgment Day, when the dead rise to be judged, and then that judgment happens on everybody at the same time. So if you already passed, then you rise from your grave to be judged. If you're like alive, then you're just judged. What decisions stress you out? Are they one-way doors? Hold up, wait. One of my friends just shared a post. The ones that you should be analyzing. He's talking about being stressed out and anxiety was right here. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Now, this is in the space where things are kind of sort of happening around us and we don't necessarily know why. Now, in this, judgment is interesting because under the pressure of judgment, we can default to trying to increase our consumption or reliance or dependence on whatever this is, which probably isn't the solution, low key, right? But like alcohol isn't the solution, but it is a solution, just like popped into my mind. Whereas, like, if this is something that I use to cope and things get even more difficult, then would I not indulge in whatever I cope with even more? And it's like, yeah, you could, or you could realize how much that actually doesn't serve you, how distractionary that is, and how what used to comfort has now become a crutch. And it's become a crutch to the point where, like, we never face anything. And so we kind of stagnate. And whenever anything happens, then we're running to whatever this crutch is. And moving forward, because what are we ending with? We're ending with the Eight of Wands. It's the back of the Eight of Wands. In the back of the Eight of Wands in this deck, we have Pegasus up here. Now, Pegasus is the disher out of karmic justice or karmic rewards. And it's quick, it's swift. But clarifying this justice card, we have hostilities, anxiety into hostilities. Isn't that cute? This is increasing the pressure. I don't think I saw first chakra Archangel Michael. Because it's like, it feels like hot potato, right? And the potato is getting hotter and hotter and it's burning our hands, but instead of letting it go, we're like clinging to it even more. And so it's going to continue to get hotter. It doesn't get any cooler unless we drop whatever it is. Now, hostilities to me with the card of judgment, this to me is feeling like, and I don't know what the timing of this is or was. Like, all of this could be things that are more in the past. And maybe we're in this more future point. And again, if we're in this more future point, then whatever happened here would be serving to, like, reiterate how good we are, right? Potentially. That's the other side. But this hostilities, it feels like us not accepting what we need to do in the moment, not rising to the occasion, doubling down on whatever it is that we are being put in a position to release our dependency on, but not necessarily doing it. I feel like for the sake of this, I have to say that we released it, because if not, then we don't move on. But it's always take it as it resonates anyway. And so, I mean, I guess we choose wherever we end up in this. So I'm just gonna continue. What's next? So even though we've got some hostilities and some anxiety, we are coming up with, there it is. I knew I stopped seeing this. Yin and yang. Now everything here is all upright. And the first time I saw yin and yang, it was acting like it wanted to turn in reverse, or like it was going on its side. And so with yin and yang being on its side, means that we're simultaneously in a yin cycle and a yang cycle. This card, upright, it's the yin cycle, it's receptive. In reverse, it's the yang cycle, and it's like that action cycle. With yin and yang coming out after hostilities, this is us being in a position to really begin realizing, noticing, and seeing how our attitude and the way that we interact with the world and the views that we hold influences our experience. This yin yang is like the direct sort of like resolution to this solar plexus because it feels like it was overactive in whatever it was. It's like it's overactive, but under sourced. It's like we're working it way too hard and not giving it nearly enough energy, like both at the same time. And so it's like while it is overactive, it's also underactive. And it's underactive in that sort of sustenance type of role, but it's overactive in that like action type of role. And with this, like this could have been playing out over a long time. I don't think this necessarily happened all at once. This has probably been like a slow process of us having opportunity after opportunity to realize that the way we cope and the way we handle things isn't necessarily entirely effective when it comes to resolving those things so that we can move forward free of the baggage of them. And so, depending on how attached we were to whatever this is, that could sort of be related to the length of time that it took for us to. Hold on, wait, what am I? Wait. Depending on how attached we were to that, it would sort of determine. It's almost like how severe things would get. And depending on our resistance to seeing what it is that we needed to see. Because the thing about justice is that, like, we're already naked, we're already stripped bare. Even if we weren't, the eyes of this angel would be able to see through us anyway. And if we look at the other side, the child is bare, but the man and the woman are both sort of, like covering up a little bit. The woman has the orphic, the man has a skull. The child is just bare. Well, yeah, the child is bare. He ain't covering nothing. He's like, this is me. I can't hide anyway. I know you already see it. These two, on the other hand, not so much. And so this hostility, it's almost like this hostility towards the self. Well, it's like it's this externally focused or this externally directed hostility, but all it does is like it hurts and harms the self um, more than anything else. But in the yin and yang, I feel like we've come into, there's this need or an ability, there's this ability to come into seeing the balance between both and balancing out that chakra specifically, as well as, at least to this point, the second chakra, because she's also out here, Ariel. So next, this leads us to the angel of balance. The angel of balance. After that yin yang. Okay, yeah. That's why I was like, if we don't get past these hostilities, I don't know how we're gonna move forward into the rest of this reading because I feel like it stops here, basically. The angel of balance, making those self-honoring choices, coming into an increased knowledge and awareness of self-love, and self-worth. And almost like out of all of that self-love, self-worth, self-esteem, it's coming into this energy of a responsibility to self, right? Like if I love myself, if I respect myself, then I have a responsibility to me to ensure that to at least the best or the better of my ability, more times than not, I'm doing what I need to do to ensure whatever I got to ensure for myself rather than distracting myself and coping and seeking out whatever all of this is that doesn't actually solve anything. The angel of balance is about taking it upon oneself to begin to correct the things within self that then balances and rebalances the external. And then, when faced with something on the external, evaluating the external off of this increased worth of self and like balancing the external as well. But it's both receptive and expressive. It's both yin and yang. It requires both listening and speaking. It's a conversation that we're continuously having with the world around us. We're continuously sort of like, I just had the word, I lost it. We're continuously like telling the world around us our worth and having it validated in whatever way. And so, if you go looking for something at the bottom of the bottle or at the bottom of a bucket of ice cream or anywhere outside of you, you're not going to find it. But we know that, right? Everyone knows that at this point. So hold up, hold up. Okay. So next we have strategy. Now, the way I pulled these, it's almost like these two are opposing and then these two. So strategy, where we had attachment before. Strategy to me, as opposed to attachment, is coming up with like actual healthy coping mechanisms and coming up with these plans, these actionable plans that we're actually going through with. There is some follow through that's also required to actually make things better, to actually move forward and to position ourselves in a way that liberates us from what we are being liberated from, positions us to receive what it is that we're about to receive, and it puts us in a space to be more solid within self. And from that more solid foundation within self, build on the external. Or at least place the orders for, the materials and get the crew and come up with the blueprints. Or like if we can't do any of that, at least, hire someone competent and capable to do it for us, but still be involved in the process. But with strategy, it's like we're seeing all of the things that we were kind of sort of just like blinded to the first time, right? Taking this and taking that and doing this and doing that and doing anything and everything that got us to, at least for a second, forget whatever it is that we're running from, or that could bring us some temporary happiness because we can't find that within ourselves. And so we seek the stupor of like increased external activity or muting that internal whatever dialogue, just hub of feelings and emotions and thoughts, like turning that down so we can just forget or whatever. I don't know. But between the angel of balance and strategy, it's like moving forward, at the very least, we know that like we can't do that anymore. Because again, here we've realized the relationship between the energy that we give and the energy that we receive. But this realization only happens after hostilities, right? Like if we continuously blame other people and the circumstances that we're in for the circumstances that we're in, then it keeps us a victim of the circumstances that we're in, and it keeps us seeking these ways and methods to cope or to. It's very Piscean 12th house Neptunian type of sort of energy, not facing the reality or doing things to alter our perception of reality without actually changing reality or without anything in reality changing. It's just altering the way we perceive it in a very unsustainable way. Now that brings us into the woman holding a coin, which is interesting. So we go from the man holding a coin to the woman holding a coin. Now, the woman holding a coin, what does she do differently with her coin than the man? I don't know. Is she different? One second. Oops. She does do something different because so the coins are related to the element of earth, and the element of earth is a sort of default feminine energy a lot of times. And so, whereas this is uncontrolled, unsustainable, insatiable, and voracious, this, especially between balanced strategy and this coin, this is more sustainable. And so, if there's something that we indulge in for pleasure, we indulge in for pleasure instead of overindulging out of necessity. That's one of the differences between these two. It's like we don't necessarily have to completely give up everything, but without the dependency on it, it changes our relationship with it. Also, it puts her, I feel like this is also a space of things that are more mutually beneficial. There's an energy of giving back. It's more exchange than taking, or like conquest type of energy. This could be conquest over here, right? Especially with this blossoming abundance after these two. Oh, this would never stop. But then we realize, and then we lose, and then the ego comes out, and then the pointing fingers come out, and then if we can take responsibility and see sort of the role that we play in all of this, if we can see how our actions and the actions that we don't take continue to reinforce this, that we can come, excuse me, we can come out of it. So this is introducing an element of sustainability here. And it's also one that's like a little bit more naturally involved in the process instead of being a result of the process. And again, I feel like that just goes back to, maybe doing something for pleasure rather than doing it out of a necessity or a need. So we end with the Eight of Wands, which is Pegasus coming in. If we have learned our lessons and proceeded accordingly, Pegasus is bringing in the blessings. If we didn't, Pegasus is bringing in the lessons. And it's like we're going to add another rod to the pile. Either Pegasus is about to come and take all these rods off, or it's going to add another rod and you be even closer to 10, which is things being even more difficult to manage and hold on to and cope with, which is not great energy. But if we don't do anything to fix our problems, then they only pile up in the back. So, you can't ignore your problem and until it goes away, or ignore it and hope it goes away, or pretend like it doesn't exist, and you pretending like it doesn't exist makes it not exist anymore. Like, especially coming into the angel of balance with strategy, It's like you pretending like it doesn't exist. It just puts you in a position to be affected by it, but not even have a say in how it affects you. It's like you just accept whatever it does to you because you're just like, oh, it's not real. It's not a problem. It's not an actual issue. But whatever you're doing to like distract yourself from this issue, like if this is a non-issue, then like why are you still doing all of this? Like why are you doing this even more if all of this is like a non-issue? Anyway, the last card out is community, which is interesting. Community, to me, it speaks of the world shifting around to rebalance on whatever this is. I feel like regardless, things are going to shift to rebalance, right? Because here's Pegasus. I feel like community means like it's spreading from like internal to like external. And again, with Pegasus, it's either going to be it could be better, about the same, or worse, and anywhere on that spectrum between better and worse, with about the same being in the middle. Interesting. The back of the world card. I feel like again with that Ouroboros in the back of the world card, it feels like this is the energy of something that's not going to be done for us, right? Like this ain't something that you'll be able to manifest away or pray away or do whatever, because eventually you got to do something. Faith without works is dead, right? And there were plenty, especially in the Old Testament, in the Bible, there were plenty of like Sodom and Gomorrah, Noah's Ark. When they did what they did to Samson, and then Samson took the whole place down. And my mom, she says all the time, the Bible says warning comes before destruction. Like all of this, like these are the warnings back here. This, depending on how we handle this and move forward, leads to the potential destruction, or it leads to us, it leads to the abundance that lies outside of that realm of destruction, because there is an energy. Oh, blue lunar storm, look at that. I was gonna say like a purge, but of like things that are broken and that no longer work. It's like sometimes we drive something until the wheels fall off, where it's like, well, okay, now the wheels are about to fall off, it's going to start smoking, and it's about to combust, it's about to blow up, because we're working this thing way past what it was supposed to be. We were supposed to replace or look at, analyze whatever this was a long time ago, way before it reached this point, because this, it's like this constant process within us. Like we know when we're not dealing with or handling something that we should be dealing with or handling. We know whenever we indulge in something, why we're indulging in it. And again, there's a difference between indulging in something for pleasure and indulging in something out of a necessity to not think about or to distract ourselves from something else. And our ability to face it is going to be, our ability to sort of move on, move forward, pass beyond it, or to double down on our attachment to it. So that's what I had. Of course, we're gonna get these final messages. I'm like shuffling decent today. What's going on? What is that? It's poetry in motion. Y'all blind at me with science. Henry and what was her name? Grace. Oh, okay, judgment. Just stay right there. You ain't gotta go in. Hey, we're switching the 8 of Wands to the upright side now. I'll give this 3 more. Found a message from the vice verses. I just saw that world card again. I wonder if it's still in the back. I just saw the edge of it again. Ooh. I guess that's it. Oh, that's interesting. Well, the Nine of Swords is at the top. And again, it's the front. It's like the energy of this Nine of Swords, especially this side, it's not staying up at night. It feels like this, it's like a waking terror. Like in our day, like when you're working that super boring routine and like everything it just kind of sort of sucks the life out of you. Like when you're working a job that just like drains you, like that's not like this thing that keeps you up at night. It's the energy of like this waking terror type energy. Bottom of the deck is the High Priestess. Now, if we take it this way, it's the back of the High Priestess. And again, we have that fire, that blue, and the red. Now, the blue and the red here is a lot more than the little candles we had before. And this being more than the candles before, it implies, I guess, a need for like extra guidance or something. This, however, is very interesting. How many cards is this? Oh my gosh, this is a lot. And they're all in reverse. I'm actually going to read them in reverse. So this is the back of the Ten of Swords in reverse. Now, this card came out upright around the solar eclipse, I believe. I can't remember if it was the solar eclipse or the full moon Capricorn lunar eclipse. It was one of them. It came out for that. And this is actually my card it was my card for June. I was like, wow, I got the card with an eclipse in the month that solar eclipse happens. Now we're coming upon another solar eclipse this December 14th. We had the Gemini full moon lunar eclipse. Next is a Sagittarius new moon. Gemini full moon, Sagittarius new moon solar eclipse. With this in reverse, it feels like we've actually been taken outside of a situation. And again, it feels like that what we ended with, that like if we're in a good position, then we're going to be coming into an energy that is lighter. If we haven't been facing or dealing with whatever we needed to have been facing or dealing with, I feel like it's about to get a little bit heavier because it's putting us back in it. And if we've been dealing with it in healthier ways that resolve these things, and it's like when we get put back in that situation, it's going to be a lot easier because we're going to know what to do because we've already done it. We've done it on hard mode. Now it's easy. But if we weren't doing it, then it's like it's even more difficult because it's like, when you carry something for a long time, it doesn't matter how light it is, eventually it weighs on you. That kind of sort of type of energy. Next is the Seven of Cups. It's the back of the Seven of Cups in reverse. One second, y'all. With the Seven of Cups in reverse, this is that it's the energy of choosing to, well, no. This is interesting. This Seven of Cups in reverse, this feels like a very sort of, one second, I'm sorry. We're going to do this express style. But the energy here, it feels very like Neptune retrograde because something about this, whether good or bad, we weren't seeing the full effect of what it is that we were doing. Now, on the other side, with the sun, that's the card I don't like. And it's another eclipsey type card, too. The Seven of Cups and the Eight of Cups. On this side, it's light, right? On this side, it's in the dark, which is, again, it feels like whenever we get put back into the situation, either it's going to be extremely easy or it's going to be a lot less difficult. We're going to be able to finish or complete whatever we weren't able to finish and complete first because of what we've been doing. And so it's going to open us up to a lot, or we weren't seeing how detrimental whatever it is that we were choosing to do instead of doing what we could have been doing is going to be, and we're not going to know. Because again, with that Two of Pentacles that came out at the beginning, and what was it, the Page of Wands or whatever, it was like whatever this choice was, whatever this decision was, it's already been made. It was the Nine of Swords. It was the Two of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords. We're just like, we're going to be seeing waking like this, not in our, not when you're asleep, not in these subtle ways that you don't understand. It's like we're going to be seeing almost the direct consequences of some of our choices, decisions, and actions in a very like experiential way. And like that's the thing about Pentacles. That's the thing about hoarding money, is that like money, it's not imaginary, but it's subject to inflation and deflation. If you like, stocks aren't even real. They're like the way they go up and down, and the way that they've been surging and stuff like that. Girl, it's like, okay, all right, it is what it is. But that's why we shouldn't put too much stock in it, because it's subjected, like Earth is the final element. It's subjected to the air, the water, and the fire. Now, conscious Earth is different because conscious Earth holds that within it and manifests from self. And that's more of the feminine Earth. Feminine Earth is more conscious Earth. Masculine Earth is more like, it's not, it's not that it lacks consciousness, but it does Earth different. I don't know. It's like masculine Earth would be like landforms, like, you know, you got your mountains and you got your plateaus and stuff. Anyway, I said this is going to be express. So we're going to be finding out with this Eight of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. Either we've put it behind us through practice, or we've just gotten even more dependent and even more attached when not. And it feels like because of what's happening, it has the potential to take something to a very unhealthy level if we haven't dealt with whatever it is that we needed to deal with. And that leaves us with this Ten of Wands that I was saying Pegasus is about to come and drop some more wands, or he's about to come and like, you know, lighten the load. That's what I got for this. I'm just going to put these right on top, and I'm going to put these away because I got to finish this. Now, let's see what comes out of the energy oracle cards. Let's wrap that up. I don't even know what I'm going to title this. Ooh. Ooh, was that action? I think it was. I love action. Okay, final card for me. Oh, that was quick. Thank you. Oh, gosh. Bottom of the deck is the Angel of Love, and the card that came out again. Attachment was the last card last time. So with all of that in reverse, there is a potential for us to be a lot freer because of the hard work that we've done, and we're going to be coming into a cycle of not having to do so much and work so hard, because we've worked through the bulk of what it is that we need to work through moving forward in the future. We've closed cycles, we've closed chapters. We're not sabotaging in the ways that we were in the past. We're not coping to the point of like, we're not coping to ineffective extremes because, you know, we're facing whatever we need to face or whatever. Things get easier, things get lighter. Ten of Wands in reverse, there's no more burden, or the burden that we face now is different. The Ten of Swords and the Ten of Wands came out, and everything came out between the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Swords was first, which was related to the last eclipse, which was, like I said before, we're kind of sort of in this time of evaluation, because after the node shifted, then we had that full moon Sagittarius lunar eclipse before the Cancer new moon solar eclipse, and now we have this Gemini full moon lunar eclipse. So the nodes right now, South Node is in Sagittarius, North Node is in Gemini. Progress should have been made in some way between that eclipse and this one. And moving into this next solar eclipse, it kind of sort of like determines sort of where we go from here. It almost feels like it determines whether we have to work more in the South Node sort of like types of lessons, or whether we go more into the North Node area of lessons, where it's all about expansion and it's all about growth and it's all about the things that come after, you do the hardest part. And again, with the angel of love at the bottom, I just feel like it's a reciprocal energy, but it's like a spiritual divine reciprocating whatever it is that you've been doing. And if you've been more attached to whatever, then there's nothing to reciprocate, quite frankly. So that's what I got, though. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it even better, because it's possible, right? Sometimes you got to do the hard work.